You know, and the very first one I did, that was my first one. I grabbed the curler, strapped it to me, walked through the airport, mate. Didn't even blink an eyelid. So the boys at the airport, you know what I mean? So I'd pay them a certain amount of the curler they grabbed off out of the toilets for me. Just throw it in the toilet, and the boys worked at the catering company, and they jump on and grab it straight out of the bin. So what I did was I would import drugs for a certain amount of money, boom, 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 just pump it, right? Okay, and then I'd get it, and then I'd be pissing off overseas. It's swell in Mexico, I'm in Mexico.
All that talk to my gang pulled up, when we pull up, and they all did.
Dear Heavenly Father, please bless me and the brother Wayne here, and all the viewers watching right now. In Jesus' name, Amen.
Amen.
All right, my brother. Well, what's your name and where are you from, my bro?
Wayne Cleveland. I'm from Maroubra, Sydney, Australia.
Wayne Cleveland from Maroubra. Brother, welcome to the Fallon Show, man. How's your day going?
Brother, thanks for having me, Dave. I really, really appreciate that, mate. The day's going good, mate. Like I said to you before, mate, it's always a good day. I'd rather be out here having a day than having a perfect day in there. Okay, mentally I'm like a 17-year-old kid, but I'm actually 51 next month.
Bro, that is insane, man. I swear surfing keeps you young as well, doesn't it, bro? I see so many surfers still looking fit, bro. You know what I mean? Especially like you see those ones in Hawaii and all that, bro. Some of them are, you know, in their 50s and they're just looking like they're in their 20s, man. Something in the water, right? I see water, man.
100%. I just think it's that kind of lifestyle too.
Man, that's awesome to hear, brother. And man, well, so yeah, the brother here, Wayne Cleveland. So he's from Maroubra in Sydney. So quite a well-known area, for surfing and that as well, I hear. So the brother here is a surfer, professional surfer, eh, brother? So former.
I travelled the world chasing all the big stuff. I never really got into like the WQ. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I got I got paid like I got free surfboards and wetsuits, and I was on like little incentives, like if I got like a nice cover shot and things like that. So that kind of paved the way for me to travel around the world surfing. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, also the brother was a good surfer here, made magazines, double spreads, you know what I mean? Traveled the world surfing as well. And unfortunately, you know what I mean? Well, you know, everything's a part of the grand plan, I guess, but you know, he did get caught up in the drug smuggling scene, I guess you could say, and ended up getting sentenced to 16 years, eh, brother?
Yeah,
so
brother.
The brother here ended up getting sentenced to 16 years. He obviously done his time now, you know what I mean? He's out and about doing his thing. He was recently on Inside, eh, brother? So you were recently on Inside, you shared your story. You were actually on Mark's podcast a while back now as well, which is where I first saw your name. So, you know, Mark, the Doko Mark. So big love to him, man, with all his...
he's the best. Love Mark.
He's the best, man, with his whole road to redemption things that he's doing at the moment. But I guess to start us off, brother, so, I mean, can you sort of describe what that area is like, bro, and what it's known for?
Well, mate, it's like we're in pretty much the epicenter of Sydney. So for us to get into the city, it's probably about 20 minutes. With traffic these days, mate, you could be doing 40 up to 40 minutes. But our little area is it's not like the other beaches. There's no real silver spoon fed kids in our area. We've pretty much grown up. Most of us have grown up in the Hauser Commission, yeah. So this is a perfect example. Friends of ours come from out west. This is quite a few years ago, right? And we were down the beach, and we're actually having a wake for a good friend of ours, Al Jared, who passed away. And like it erupted between the boys, like this knuckle, right? And it was just carnage. Like my mother there was like 7 individual fights, like the younger crew versus the older crew. It was just a bloodbath. And this is exactly my mate standing beside me goes, "This is like Mount Druitt on the beach." So it's just that culture where we got brought up in, you know what I mean? Like the other area is a little bit more richer than us. Mate, Maroubra is a fucking hardcore area. Always has been. Just in criminal wise and also in surfing wise. Like, you know, you got some of the biggest charges like coming out of Maroubra, like massively, and then you got some of the back in the day, like some of their most heaviest gangsters, like they grew up and born and bred in Maroubra. And that's what our whole thing was. Like we grew up in that, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like you didn't really know any better. Mate, that's what I say. I peaked too early in my career. That's what I say to the boys. I said, mate, I was just like a bull out of the gate. I had all these opportunities come to me. And I'm an opportunist, straight up opportunist myself. I'm like, yeah, right, oh, more this, yeah, I know him, and yeah, right, okay, this is fantastic. I can do that. Yeah, I know somebody over there. So I was just potting and planning. Well, while I'm traveling, when I'm, taking pot from this country to that country, I'm grabbing 1,000 eckies from in England, taking them over to France and shit like. I was just, I didn't care. And when you look back at it, it was a little bit reckless, really. I'm lucky that I got pinched here. Imagine if I got pinched in America walking through with 3 kilos strapped to me.
Yeah, well, Bali, far out.
But mate, perfect, mate, perfect example. Bali, like, straight up death penalty.
Yeah, mate, for sure. Well, too. Well, first of all, man, I mean, that's such an interesting picture, bro, of Maroubra. You know what I mean? Especially from here in New Zealand, because there are no sort of areas like surfy areas that are actually like crime areas as well. You know what I mean? So it's such a, like the Bra Boys, bro, which is like sort of the famous movie that comes out of that area. I mean, I remember when I saw that, it was just so interesting to see all of that, bro. You know what I mean? Like the surfing culture being mixed with like crime and things like that. Obviously it's normal to you guys, but I guess why the movie done so well as well is because the outsiders seeing that is just so new, I guess you can say, man, of those cultures being like mixed together like that.
Yeah, well, you know what, and this is true, and this is how I describe some of our lives, right? And mine in particular. Right? Like, do you ever watch that movie Point Break?
Yeah, bro,
okay.
Yeah.
See how what they're doing is, what they do is they go around and do all the bank robberies and they get the money and then they travel. But seriously, that's how I kind of live. And someone overseas in America, that's what he said to me. He goes, your kind of lifestyle was like that. So what I did was I would import drugs for a certain amount of months, boom, just pump it, right? Okay. And then I'd get it, then I'd be pissing off overseas. It's well in Mexico, I'm in Mexico, I'm in Europe, I'm in America. I'm just everywhere. And that's how it kind of was when you look at it. Look, as I got older and started having kids, I started getting a little bit more wise and started thinking, if something goes down, mate, I'm in a spot up over here. I know that, but when I was a kid, but I was rolling hard, proper hard, and I was just, it was in me.
Well, so going back a little bit, brother. So obviously, I mean, you're growing up, you're growing up around the boys, man, and all of that. So what sort of, how did it progress through your teenage years and all of that, bro? Was it was surfing your main focus and sort of doing things on the side and, or when you were younger, or?
Yeah, surfing has always been my main focus, 100%. Don't get me wrong, but back in the day, man, I worked, like, so when I grew up, and after school, I'd go for a surf, and then I worked in a surf shop down the beach. From there, I would go and do a paper run when I got home. When you had the wheelbarrow, the whistle, paper, blowing the whistle, walking around in the neighborhood, yeah. So I used to do that. Then in the morning, before I went to school, I worked at a pie shop. So I'd get the bus down. So I'd work in the pie shop. So it was not like I never had that work ethic in me.
Yeah.
So I did this for years, like proper years, and I'd saved. And my first trip was to Bali. I paid for that myself when I was 16, because my parents at the time said, we can't afford it, mate. Look, we're battling to, we're putting food and that on the table like this. I go, man, we can't afford to send the bone. I'm working. So this is all these jobs I did. I was just doing like all those things. So I saved my money myself and went to Bali at 16, and then I just kind of rolled from there. And then it was Bali again, and like obviously as I traveled, I started meeting people and I got older, and then I had all these sponsors and I was flying around the world, mate. There were so many opportunities coming to me. So I started to kind of, at first I didn't really, I went, oh yeah, mate, sounds good. I just never really, because I was still, everything was revolved around surfing. Mate, I'm smoking joints, punching canes, I'm drinking, I'm chasing Sheilas. That was everything. That's what my world was revolved around. Top of the line was obviously surfing, and then everything else kind of fell into play. But it's always been my focus. And then obviously came, the important, like I said, I had opportunities, and the importing of the drugs and stuff. And
well, how did that sort of start off for you, man? Like, So you were carrying the drugs on you, were you? So you were
Yeah,
carrying
yeah.
the money. What was your first run?
You know, and the very first run I did, it was through a guy's dad I knew. And he's this big a Mexican over there. So and I got introduced to him. As these other things popped up and stuff like that. And then I went over him. I just grabbed the curler. That was my first one. I grabbed the curler, strapped it to me, walked through the airport, mate. Didn't even blink an eyelid, mate. I swear to God, Dave, I didn't even beat of sweat come off me. It was just, oh yeah. And then as soon as I got back, mate, it went like that, mate. It went in 2 days. I was just went, boom, it was gone. I went, 2 weeks later, I'm back there grabbing 2 kilos. And then, well, mate, okay, so back in the day, you could grab a kilo for 16,000 US. Oh, between 12, I say from 12 to 16, because a couple of times I got them from 12 US to about 16. But back then, the kilos here were only 120. You know, but like an ounce was about $5,000. Like top, that was top dollar. Usually you're paying about 35, mate, 4,200, but $5,000 if you wanted the top shelf gig. You know what I mean? So you make it, and as the years went on, obviously the inflation, everything went up. Like, you know, back in the day when I was selling the kilos, they were 200, and I was still getting them at 16. But then they started slowly going up between 16 and 18, and at the end I was paying about $20,000 between 18,000 US and $20,000 US. You sell it for 200, brother. Like, you know what I mean? You got 3 at a time. Then you got your boys at the airport, because they're all being pinned. So like, it's not like, mate, you just Google my name and you can see everything come up. So I'm not saying anything to you know what I mean, to sink anybody. So, mate, you know, so the boys at the airport, you know what I mean. So I'd pay them a certain amount every kilo they grabbed off out of the toilets for me, and then I was just, you know, I did this for 8 years by myself.
Well, you know, so you're just doing that by yourself. Well, so I've read a little bit on the articles and things like that. So yeah, so at some point you were leaving them in the toilet as well on the airplane, was it?
Yeah. So what I do is I get on the airplane, strapped up, and about 20 minutes before I'd land, I'd fucking cut off, because you take you could take scissors and that back on the plane back then, in like your little man bag where you got your deodorant and shit. And I just cut it off and around my legs, and then just throw it in the toilet. And the boys worked at the catering company, when they jump on and grab it straight out of the bin. Bang, before the cleaners come in, they got them. You know what I mean?
So a catering company was involved as well.
Yeah. So the catering company, so the boys, boom, would jump on and grab it straight out. You know what I mean? So, and then, so obviously I paid them a certain amount. And then obviously by the time I got back, so this is how it rolled. So they clean the plane and they would roll out. So by the time I come in through customs, grab my have someone pick me up, or jump in the taxi and get home, the bag was already at the front doorstep.
It was like clockwork at that point.
Oh yeah.
Also, can I ask, bro, it's like, because you were talking about how you love the rush of what you were doing, obviously, you know, being a surfer as well, you know, chasing the waves and all of that. So that's definitely a big part of your life. But like, because at that point, couldn't you have just been getting someone else to do what you were doing, bro? Like, and just get some other person to do it, or?
Well, it's funny you say that, because at the end, like after I kept this, I kept it hush hush for years, man. Like I'm talking proper hush hush. So people just thought I was selling a bit of pot and doing it. No one really knew what I was doing. There was only a couple of people, I swear, like the guys at the airport, and I had like 2 mates. That was it here. And that lasted for a few years. I've always been that. Oh yeah, mate. I was because you can't really start.
Yeah, because once you start telling other people, it's over.
Brother, you can burners, mate. The people that burn so hard, right? And that jealousy, but the next thing is that to me, they're police informers, because they're so wrapped up in you and your life, and they're so fucking jealous, mate. It's nothing to bring up the phone and go, yeah, this on the other goes down now. Look at this. They got Crime Stoppers, the people ringing up on each other. You know what I mean? And the police would go, oh, well, we've done a great job. We've cracked this ring. I said, oh, you pieces of shit. Mate, someone's rung up and given you the mail. I said, you know what I mean? And so I kept everything hush hush for quite a few years. And then, mate, it takes a certain person, mate, to do it. And then there was a couple of people who goes, oh, mate, like, it kind of got out there a little bit, you know what I mean? Someone out wide was on it and LinkedIn, and they kind of approached me and go, well, no, mate, is there any chance I could, you know what I mean? And I just went, oh, look, brother, yeah, rah, rah, rah. And no one really jumped on board, mate. Like no one kind of went, Well, I'm with it. Let's go. Like no one, seriously. And then after like 8 years, I had this other mate of mine, really good friend, and he just, mate, he took the bite. In all honesty, went after that, a couple of people jumped on board because I started having kids in that, so I couldn't do it as much. I couldn't travel, mate. You know, there's babies and it's schools and shit. You know, I couldn't just go for 2-3 weeks at a time. You know? So there was a couple of boys that jumped on board. Yeah, there was a couple of boys, and they just took the ball up hard. And then I just had everything. I had everything organised because over there you can actually ring public phones. So I could go to a public phone here and have the numbers. So what we would do is I'd have a list of numbers, and I'd text my mate on a burner in America and go number one. Right, so he'd get a number one phone, right, and then I'd go to a public phone ring. I go, all right, go number three. So I'd quickly drive to another phone box, bomb, and just ring up and go, all right, brother. I would still always talk in code, always talk in code. So I go, what are the waves doing, mate? What are the waves doing? And I said, and I'd go, and he goes, oh, mate, they're good. They're really good. I said, okay. I said, like I said, it's all open there. Like I said, you can read about all this stuff. So, I go, mate, it's 8 to 10 footy. I said, it's fine. So when I would say 8 to 10, that means I needed 8 to 10 kilos. You know what I mean? And then I start mentioning like shapers. Obviously, you've got better shapers than the others of surfboards, like surfboard shapers. So when I'd say, oh, mate, I'd always say I want the top of it. You know what I mean? I'd go, mate, I want that shaper, mate. He shapes the best board. We're on. You know what I mean? So I'd come back, right, and talk to the boys and go, okay, brother, this is, you know, I'm just flying here. My mate, you're going to know him over there anyway. So he'll look after. So the boys would come in and go, okay, we need this. And about 2 days before we fly out, we'd organise it with the boys, and then so they'd go and they'd drop the money off, and we'd pick up the product at the same time, and then we'd just go back to the hotel and we would just kick. So that day, when we're leaving, we would prepare everything and strap it up to the boys and stuff like that, you know. And at the end, it was like clockwork. So and the same crew kept on doing it for them, you know. They were paid handsomely too.
Yep. Far out. So yeah, definitely like clockwork, man. Far out. Well, so then when did it start turning sour for you, brother? So
well, it started turning sour when we stepped out. My mate was adamant on using this other bloke. I said, brother, I've been with this same crew for so many years, brother. I said, no. And so what happens, right? This is what happened. There was a little friction in the group. So my mate over there thought he was doing more than another mate that was here, right? Everyone was getting paid very well. They're getting paid the same, but I feel like I'm doing more. Well, they had a little fallout, right? So my mate, he goes, oh, I've got another mate, let's do him. I'm going, mate, no, listen, it's worked. So we veered off over, and he wanted to use him. I'm going, no. Well, I went, all right, you're steering that ship. I said, okay, you're going over, you're doing all that. I just sit here. I'll maintenance the boys at the airport, everything. So I'm overseeing. That's why I got so much, because they could see me as principal as I'm organising the shit over there. I'm sending the money. I've got the people here. I'm getting rid of the product here. So he insisted on using this bloke. So we end up using him, and he was good, but he got too loose and started ringing up and text messaging, speaking on the phone. I'm going, brother, this fucking guy's loose, isn't it? I'm going, this shit ain't right, brother. And I call it a professional left-hand drop.
Left-hand drop, brother. That's what they call it. Yeah, brother.
The left-hand drop, but the guy knows. So I get a burn, I text, right? I text my mate who's just flown over, and I'm on the burner because I don't trust this guy. I said, brother, this is talking on the phone. I said, this is fucking, it's not on. Rah. Brother, the guy starts texting. At the end, I deleted my number. I threw my phone away that I had for years. I had to, because the guy's going, you're the man, you're the kingpin, Wayno. Yeah, brother. No. After I just text my mate going, fuck, this guy, there's something not right, brother. I didn't realise this guy had already been pinched, and his missus had been pinched. They're rolling on each other, right? And then all of a sudden, it just made, and then that tail led to me. And then all of a sudden, mate, they pinched like 11 kilos coming through, right? They pinched like 11 kilos. And I'm going, what's wrong? And then I'm asking the boys at the airport, I say, is everything all right, brother? They're going, mate, it's quiet as. Like, it's dead set. I'm going, you sure? I said, was it just a lucky draw? And they go, mate, we think it was. So about 6 to 8 weeks later, I go, I said, I sent someone else. I said, just grab 2. Let's fill this out. So boom, they go over and grab 2, come back, we get it. I go, okay, lucky fine. And then I go, okay, boys. And then I send another 2 blokes over and they grab about 7 kilos, they do, right? They go about 7, 6.9, I think, something like that. Right? Okay, so those 2 boys go over and they come back, boom, they find it again, right? And all the years I've been doing this, I did it for 16 years. I went, mate, we never had this before, ever. Nothing's ever been found. We've always won. I'll go, mate, we're fucking off. I said, I'm telling you, okay, we're off, mate. I said, so they got the 11, mate, we snuck 2 in and then they've got another 7. I said, mate, we're off. And then the boys started noticing a few things. And then I started noticing things around my neighbourhood where I was living, like people walking past, pushing friends, walking dogs. This lasted like quite a while. So I knew I was off, right? And then just arrogance played a part again. And my cowie that was in trouble with me had worked at the airport, goes, mate, no, it's quiet. I reckon we're good to go. I'm going over. I'm keen. This is after 2.5 years. So mind you, the first load they get is in March, beginning of March 13th, 2007. I don't get pinched until September 20th, 2009. So yeah, so the first load they found was in 2007 March, and then so you're looking at 2.5 year span where I got those 2 in, and then they got the other 7, and I just laid low, like super quiet and super low, and then the greed and arrogance got to me again, and I said to my mate, I said, let's go. So we went over there and we went for 1 more import instead of and then we'll just shut shop. We'll give a good year or 2 off. Right? Let's just make this last little loan. And look what happened, mate. They come running in like bull ants. My whole house like that, because I was on a slope, so I had it was all window, and I just seen them all. So I said I was making the kids juices. When I looked, I just seen them swarming, brother. I just went in my gut, in my head. I just went. And my poor little kids, mate, like. The look on their face, mate, they were so daunted, and they could have kicked the door in because I've had like gun charges back in the day and stuff like that. So they can come in on that alone, just boot the door in and that. And they said, we knew you had kids, so we come in. I said, look, I appreciate that, you know what I mean? And the poor little kids, my kids were just going, what the fucking, mate, you know, like I'm there 1 minute and then I'm just fucking dragged away the next minute, gone for 10.
Man, gone for 10, brother. Far out, man. So how old were you by this point, man?
I was 38.
38. So you'd had a pretty good run, man, before anything.
That's why I did have a good run. I had an unbelievable run. I lived
unbelievable run, yeah.
Yeah, like you know, some guys are lucky to last a year doing whatever they do.
Yeah, bro, that's right. Yeah, at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter how good you think your record is. All it takes is one man who ain't got the minerals to hold up in the jack shop, mate, and it's all over. Just that one guy.
I love that, the minerals. It's so true, though. It is, mate, brother. It is, and then you get these people who are like, mate, you think they're solid, yeah, this, and then when it comes to the crunch, mate, they just crumble, and you kind of just go, wow. Like, I'd never seen that in that person.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what? It blows my mind. People know they're putreds, right? They're filthy dogs, grubs. But they get out of jail. Guys still want to hang with them.
That's why that life, bro. It's just, mate. It's not about anything at the end of the day, mate. Because of stuff like that, bro. But as long as they're in coin, mate, it's get a pass and everything, you know.
When people forget that, and then you go, oh, this guy, mate, he's never done a thing wrong by me. I said, brother, he just put old mate in for 20. I said, mate, you're going to be tarnished with the same brush, brother. Mate, he's a putrid. You're going to be a putrid. Straight up.
Yeah.
Like you just said there, it counts for nothing, doesn't it, these days? Like you said, because he might be making a little bit of coin and he's bringing old mate along, so old mate's making a little bit of coin. You know what I mean? It's
best to stay away from that world, isn't it, brother? Just stay away from it,
mate. And then so many people are doing it, though.
So many, bro.
I go, but I don't want to know nothing. Yeah. That's just how it is. But mate, they said the people reading paperwork and going, nah, we sweetheart, mate, it's not like that. And I just go, mate, that's exactly how it is. It's in black and white. The guys are putrid, mate. You're hit with the same brush. Don't come near me. I just sit there going, mate, and like, you know, and a couple of heads that I knew back in 1994, like a couple of boys that there's about three of them. They were on murder blues, and they were really, so they got big whacks. And when I come back in 2009, and like, they're still doing their sentences, you know what I mean? I'm there, they're kind of, well, no, good to see you, brother. He goes, mate, it's a different world now. I said, brother, like I said, there's jails full of boneyarders, and then there's other people pulling guys out of the boneyard because they're getting a bit of bute or something off them.
Oh, yeah, the return soldiers, mate, full of them, bro.
What about that? Hey, it's all tap.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's
bro.
right,
Man. That orange gold.
Mate, what about that when they're getting guys to stand on top of their go the water, and the brothers have got them standing on their head and they're spewing up and they're getting them. I'm just, mate, this is there. What about when you're using the phone? Why is that Parker just using the phone? I swear to God, mate, 10 deep, mate. The boys were just on the bourgeois, boom, and then now you got to, mate, save me a line, and then the guy at the end's going, I'm blowing up. I'm washing it out, so he gets a bit of water, and I'm just 10 guys that just use the bourgeois. It's hectic, but you know what? I swear to God, I think I'm a kind of worldly travel person, which I am, and I think I've seen a lot. Through Mexico, all those countries, mate. I've been to Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, all those African. I've been all through Mexico, and mate, when I went in there, I was like, whoa, this is fucking an eye opener.
Oh man, hard case, bro, hard case. Oh well, brother, so going into that, man. So then, how was your, obviously, being sentenced and then moving on to your whack, brother. So how was all that for you, man?
I had come back early on the earlier truck. When I just got 10, 16 with a 10, rah, and they go, you all right, brother? I said, yeah, I'm all right. And then one of the boys called me a fee. So I come in and the chief opened the door up and I grabbed my meal off him and went back and the boys were screaming out the window at the back there at the bay. And, you're all right? And I said, boys, I tell you what, the rise on. I said, I'm a bit fucking numb. You're all right, mate. And a couple of the other boys, and you'll be right. And the next day we got up and we're just kind of sitting around. I was a heavy smoker back then. I'm just on the white ox, he's killing himself just for one day. You know what? The next day I woke up and went, fucking, this is it, brother. This was exactly what I said to him. I said, this is it. There's no point going on like a pork chop. It's 10 to me 10. I don't really, they left no room for appeal. But I just treated it like a training camp. I did from then on. I was always training anyway when I first got in there. And I just knuckled down, started reading books, and I just started just train. Had a good crew of boys there, and I mean a couple of Kiwi boys. There's a heap of Kiwi boys with it, and we always teamed up. And we all just trained together. A couple of the Fijians and stuff, and mate. So I just knuckled down, and it had to be done. There's nothing you can do.
Well, so you ended up pushing through your time, brother. So so how was it for you, man, after getting out after that brick, brother? How was life on the outside, and how has that progressed to where you're at now?
Well, I'm lucky. I got a good support network. But I got a really, really good network of people around me, which was just so loving and caring, and just it's just couldn't do enough for me. Like my mate gave me a unit to live in straight off the bat, for 12 months. Yeah, mate, straight away. But my dad gave me an old car. Mate, I had work. So what I did was, and I spoke to another bloke who did 10 years also, and he goes, Wayno, he goes, what I did was, he goes, mate, I come out, he goes, I had 2 weeks off, right? He goes, I went straight back to work. So everything wasn't so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So as I came out, like I had all these wonderful people around me and people, helping me and stuff like that. And you know what I did, mate? I went straight back to work, brother. Yeah. But I waited 10 days, and then it was a bit overwhelming. It wasn't a bit overwhelming, but what I tried to do is, right, so for a perfect example, one day, right, I get up, I'll run the beach, right, okay, do 4 laps of the beach and do 200 burpees, right, and that surf was good, boom, so I go surfing. I go and come up from the surf, have banana and yogurt. My mate Cam and the boys come over, they just bring out 2 pairs. So we're doing like 8 rounds each on the pad. So I'd go surfing. This is all in one day, brother. So what I did was, I was just overloading myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so when I went to go back to work, I got sick. So I was sick for about 4 days, and then I just calmed down. And I mean, you're having lunches and dinners with people that want to catch up, and which is good. You know what I mean? And it went on for a little bit, but after 2 weeks, I went straight back to work. Exactly what I was doing on my work release. And then so from there, and then I got another job, and then I got another job from that. Now I work with another Kiwi bro. Now we got a little my Kiwi bro Nick. He's got a scaffolding business, and so what I do is the boys that are coming out now, so they're not so overwhelmed and stressed. I put them on the job site with Nick. It can be a little bit overwhelming.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. And working's so important. I believe that too, man. I think I was out for, after getting deported, I was out for about 2 weeks, and then just straight onto the truck, bro, and just working 6-7 days a week, man. Just because it was so much, bro. You know what I mean? And that was just my one thing I could hold on to, just working. You know, it's definitely, it's definitely a good thing what you're doing, bro. You know, getting boys work, because it is overwhelming, bro.
It is like I've always considered myself quite an adaptable person, you know what I mean? And then there's like 1 or 2 stages when I go up to bloody East Gardens or something, and there's just people everywhere, and then I was waiting for somebody, and they didn't kind of turn up. They were about 5 minutes late. I started getting a bit hot and flustered and going, okay, I got to do this by myself. You know, this is like my first real, like I'm still in jail, but after I had to go get some clothes, and they allowed me to go get some clothes and stuff for work. And it was another one of the boys that was working with me, but he was on another site, and he was meant to, but he was just a little bit late. So there was like 1 or 2 occasions where I got a little bit overwhelmed, but then I kind of calmed down a little bit. But I just think if you get into a good structure straight away, I think that's good.
Yeah, no, me too, man, most definitely. Brother Wayne, man, we're sort of coming to the end here, brother, but man, I love your energy, brother. Can't wait. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up at some point, man, in the future, maybe on an island or something, man. That would be a beautiful thing. But bro, I love your energy, man, and bro, incredible story, brother. You know what I mean? It's good to see you out now, man, and kicking goals, man, and doing well on parole, man. You know what I mean? That's a beautiful thing as well, brother. Bro, any more closing remarks, man, before we wrap this up, brother?
I just say thanks for having me, Dave. I really, really appreciate that, mate, and reaching out and stuff like that. Like, if you can help 1 or 2 people, mate, unreal. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, really, it's like you said, it's all for nothing, isn't it? You know what I mean? You got people writing statements on people going in, getting half coming out and running around shaking everybody's hands, and it's not what it used to be. But at the same time, is like, you have to want to change. You know, like, if you don't want to, there's nothing that anybody can do. It's like asking somebody to go to rehab. You need to go. And it's like you're forcing them. People have to do things on their own. You know, I don't think it's not a sustainable life of crime. It's not. It's not, mate. Building a builder, plumber, electrician, mate. Oh, mate, you know, they're long lasting, mate. You know, like I said, you can still get there. You can still achieve your goals by doing those things, mate. So at the end of the day, kids, go to fucking work. It's not that hard.
Yeah, no, that's right, man. I mean, yeah, like you say, man, you know, you have to want to change, but, you know, unfortunately, man, a lot of these kids are signing up for, they don't even know what they're signing up for. You know what I mean? They don't even know what their world is really like, how we know, you know what I mean, about, you know, people, paperwork getting out, mate, you know what I mean? No one does anything, all of that stuff. They don't see that part of it, you know what I mean? They don't realize that really, bro, at the end of the day, man, it ain't about nothing. And most of the time, bro, I mean, bro, when you look at the greater criminal world, man, there's only a few that actually kill it. You know what I mean, man? Most are struggling, bro. You know what I mean? Most crims are struggling just to get what people that work get easily. Crazy, man, you know, and you can just get a job, mate, go to work, and just drill that.
You can do it. 100%. You can do it, man. As I said, it's achievable.
Yeah, most definitely, brother. Well, anyway, man, thanks again, man, for jumping on for a yarn with me, brother. I'm wishing you all the best, man, and we'll talk soon anyway, my bro.
Thanks, Dave. You're an absolute champion. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.